All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to get this going. We've got 50% of the day done, 50% of the day to continue. Our third matchup of the day is Cryptik versus Armada, and I've got Nick here on the desk joining me to talk a little bit about this before we get into the game. Cryptik and Armada, Vox actually talks about this really pretty much is it the ESL like Go For Cup that he usually casts? Those players all play. They combine the CIS region with Europe, and these players play each other all the time. And you throw Sour Team in that mix. All these guys kind of, an inter-regional matchup here that we're going to see on the big stage.
There's a lot of churn going on there, and it's a little bit leading into what I kind of asked in that interview, right? We don't really know much about these guys. We never really play, and we don't get to scrim them. There's way too much ping involved. Not the case here. These guys are playing the same rank games, same casuals, all that sort of stuff. They are going to be able to – they're probably not scrimming their first-round matchup, obviously, but they could potentially have scrimmed in the past. They could hear through the grapevine. There is a lot, and no ping, no borders, none of that. There's very little barrier between these two.
And you would almost assume – it's hard to tell, but you would think that, with CIS playing into the EU – maybe the ping issues are on them, so maybe they'll get a little bit of a boon. It's all speculation because we don't know. But what we do know is that CIS has had a very similar representative over the course of the year in Armada, led by Ovim, who notoriously about a year ago was kicked off of, basically left off of Elvin Path's choice of 4 new members to join him for the Virtus Pro PPL team. Those members ended up failing very, very hard in terms of their results. They did not get very many wins. In fact, they might not have even gotten any wins in that split because I think that was in summer. And thus, Elvin Path had to reshuffle again. He got Perdo and Sheepa, but Ovim all along throughout that time took their CIS team to 2 back-to-back lands and won games on both of those lands.
This is a team that has continuously been picking up steam, and although it is my kind of spicy pick, it's one of the teams that I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up going top 4. It's kind of now or never, right? They continue to get better every single land, and I think you either kind of fall back at this point or you will push to the top 4 section. He will be checking in as a support for this event, which is pretty interesting given how aggressive and just how defining his frontline play has been for these Armada rosters in the prior 2 events.
And I think that's partly because of the fact that they are missing 2 players in Armada. Please do and Ragnarok joining them, and Feliximia as the coach, as you'll see in the background, sometimes helps with interviews, but also helps with the coordination of the team. Coriel, Ovim, Ineffable, those are the 3 that we're used to seeing, and those are the 3 that are going to have to carry the weight of this squad if they want to compete against Sour Team. Not Sour Team, excuse me, Team Cryptik. But moving on to Cryptik, let's talk a little bit about their story. Kamaker is one of the most veteran players in all of Paladins esports, pretty much. He's been here nearly since the beginning. WASD Sports with Mudastina.
Those guys went on to become Na'Vi and become the powerhouse that they are. And sort of how we talked about the parallels with William355 yesterday. He has played with greatness. Why should he be any different, right? He can, I think, step up. He's been here a lot of different times under a lot of different banners. I think it's time for him, likewise with Armada, to either catch fire or go home.
I like Toot Toot as well on Cryptik. I think he's a really good player. Him and Zarini had those battles for 1st and 2nd seed, and it ended up going the way of Zarini for the most part, as you could tell. Very quality player winning that one. But, Gormizer is actually having a chance to talk to some of these players as we head into this matchup. It's going to be Armada that we get to hear from as we look forward to this match. Gore, what do you know?
All right, well, I'm here with Felixima from Armada as they're getting ready for their games. I'm just kind of wondering, how are you guys feeling going into this set?
We're feeling great. We're feeling motivated, and we're ready to play.
So you're coming in with 2 new players that we haven't gotten to see. Have they been able to play on LAN? Are you feeling confident? Have you gotten the practice you want, or is things a little shaky?
Yeah, like last week when we were in Ukraine getting our visas, we were able to play like the whole day scrims, and now we're more confident in our players.
So looking at Cryptik as your opponents, this is a region that's really close. The teams play each other all the time. Do you think that's going to be playing a big role for you or your team, I guess, for success in this, being able to kind of know their opponent a little better?
Yeah, because we played scrims with them before, so we kind of have the view of what they're going to pick and everything, and we're prepared.
Well, it sounds like you guys have been doing a lot for preparation. I'm just curious, with the 2 new players, with things that going wrong, did it cause any, I want to say, like bigger troubles throughout the team? Are there communication things that still aren't fully there? Or do you think that the team is feeling just as good as ever?
Well, when we lost 2 players, it kind of like put our motivation down. But then we found another ones, and they had to risk their family problems to come here. So I think we're fine right now. We're supporting each other.
All right, well, it sounds like Armada is tip-top and ship-shape, ready to go, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it back to the desk. Thank you so much for the interview, and go ahead and take it back again, Evan.
Thanks, Goran Felixima, for that introspective or kind of entrance into the minds and hearts of what Team Cryptik and Armada will be looking at, specifically Armada in that situation. Having 2 subs, but then also knowing that they travel, they maybe gave up some things that were priorities at home to be here. Although it's tough to not have your main roster, that can be galvanizing, knowing that, you know, people have really given of themselves to help make this dream a reality.
Certainly, and it's good to hear that they did get some scrim time with those guys, being able to sort of bring them into the fold.
Yeah.
A lot of what we looked at yesterday with the Renegades was like all of the role swapping that kind of had to happen as a result of just one missing piece of the puzzle, much less 2 missing pieces of the puzzle here. So maybe that's why we see Ovum there, and just maybe the growing importance of having a strong leader in the support role, the in-game guy, calling out shots, making sure he has a good view of the battlefield the entire time.
You know, a lot of confidence is possible here in this matchup for Armada. I think they feel comfortable, despite having 2 players not here on this LAN with them, that the Please Do and Ragnarok, their subs, will be able to support them in getting the job done. Cryptik, on the other hand, have had some players who have also had some ups and downs. Uber Spady had a little brief stint with NIP over the course of the season.
Yeah.
Ultimately replaced by Dicky Dog, and that seems to have worked out pretty well for them. But he's back now onto Cryptik, qualified for LAN. How do you feel his role is going to be?
I feel he could be a really key player, to be honest with you. I think he is obviously from this squad. Outside of Kamikaze, you could almost throw him in that bin, but I even wouldn't quite go that far. I would say Uber Spady is one that they need to sort of rally around, maybe pick for even. I think he's a guy that's pretty confident with Eevee. I think that could be a strong point for them because I don't see it being too highly contested in this set. So it could just be a power pick that they get nearly for free. It's going to come down to the maps and drafts, of course. But he's a guy that has seen play at the highest level. A little bit of success, but he knows what kind of goes into it. He knows what types of communication happen, plays, little setup things you can kind of pull from here and from there. I think he could be a key factor for them to rally around, and Cryptik looking strong.
Cryptik also having Graphies and Sadzik alongside Toot, Uber Spady, and Kamikaze to fill out the roster. Graphies is pretty much a traditional DPS player who can flex and maybe prioritizes the blasters more so than anyone else on the side of Team Cryptik. You'll see him on Drogos quite often. You will see the Willow played, and I think that this is important. Can he really take advantage of that blaster matchup in priority, not only on the battlefield, but Armada, I look at their squad and I see Ineffable, I see Coriel, I see Ovum. It's really up to Please Do and Ragnarok to fill in that blaster role if available, and I don't know them for being this incredible blaster player. So
such unknowns.
Question marks.
A lot is going to come down to them, and it's not that I'm saying they need to perform, but it's just like what's going to happen with them. There is so much changing in this Armada roster from what we're used to.
Stonekeep is map 1. Fish Market Ice Mines banned out as well. I didn't catch the other 2 because I was thinking about something else. I apologize. But, you know, Fish Market and Ice Mines are not going to be played. And so Stonekeep, you know, this is a map where you could see Drogos do well. You could see that high ground fought for. We also saw in, I believe, the first set of yesterday where Stonekeep was kind of prioritized on that bottom right side flank. Maybe they send the Inara onto the front line and sit at the point, and they take that right side and kind of pincer people up top. All of it depends on what they're comfortable with, and a little bit of a moment of deja vu for me here.
Yeah. Nobody really wanting to play stereotypically on Stonekeep yesterday. We saw a decent amount of it, but I believe this is the first time we will be seeing it today. This is Cryptik's map pick as well, so I believe they have selected to go second here. Inara will be banned away. Makoa gone as well. We've been seeing pretty standard throughout the tournament, 3 frontline bans and then a Drogos or a Willow or maybe something flavorful that has been super impactful in Game 1. As this is Game 1, you expect the more catch-all ban, something that you know is probably going to be strong no matter what, no matter the roster, no matter the map.
So the Willow and the Khan, alongside the Inara and Makoa, banned out respectively for Armada and Cryptik. Armada with the first pick. And it puts them in a bit of a quandary here because the front lines have been limited. Torvald, though, still available, making it through yet again in another draft phase. And the Fernando taken first for Armada. That's a comfort pick, and that's very flexible for their 2 players.
Solid band, very, very seldom picked today after being one of the highest selected champions in day number 1.
True.
Good to see him back. Cryptik have Torvald open, they have Androxus open, and any of the other slew of champions that would be good to combine with him. He's good to get early because then no matter what you end up picking with him later on, you can kind of make a more educated guess, but you can kind of bank on Torvald being impactful for you. Cryptik, with so many front lines banned out, they have a tough question in front of them. We saw last set Zaga Talent Gaming go for a very early barrack just to make themselves feel comfortable on the objective.
Real quick.
And that barrack, you know, tended to work. It had some moments. I definitely think the bowling ball resets the dome shield. There were things that allowed Zaga to have a chance, but barrack not picked up here. Cryptik take the Torvald and the Drogos in response.
I think a big part of this draft here for Armada is just the confidence level, I think, of a lot of these guys, two of them being new substitutes. So much of it rides, I think, on Ovum and on these veteran guys of having this conversation and making sure that they stay objective. They're not going to have as many voices weighing in on the conversation, so they need to make sure that they are staying and focusing on the true facts, no matter if things are going right or if things are going wrong. It's going to be very important for Ovum and those boys to step up and be a leader for these new guys.
And like you should, if you're more experienced at LAN, if you are maybe a better player or you at least have proven yourself more at a higher level, you ask your other guys, what do you want to do? You fill, and that's why we may see Ovum on that support. He's played a lot of Yang, he's played a lot of support. We also can sometimes see him on that front line playing the Inara. So it's going to be one of those.
Maybe he just pulls a Sadak, checks in as support, and plays front line.
You never know. You never know. But I feel like this is Fernando is a great thing for you know, them to have, because this is a very flexible lineup. It can go to a lot of different players, and it's in the wheelhouse. That's something that I think is important for Armada, knowing that they are not with their full roster. But that's neither here nor there. You got to play with what you got. It is their full roster for this tournament. And Cryptik, Maldamba selected here, and Ash giving them some DPS flex.
His stone keep as well, so you have to imagine Armada are at least thinking about it. It's got to be in their conversation. Not only would they get this away from Torvald, but they would be able to put that matchup against Drogos, traditionally considered to be pretty effective against the Dragon in the sky. They have both of their frontliners here. They have a nice little backline utility pick in Leon, but they are going to go for a Vivian, so it's triple hit scan here in a bit of an unconventional fashion.
Big fan of the Vivian, and I like her on Stone Keep as well. It's a new pick. I think this is the first time we've actually seen Vivian in the PWC qualifier land thus far, and this could prove very deadly, not only as a threat to Drogos, but talk about zapper rounds on those Torvald shields. That's just economy efficiency. And the Cassie brought out, very nice flexible pick for Cryptik.
Yeah.
67% win rate. Nick, who do you give this to now looking at the drafts?
Armada feel like they thought this one through. Not a bad draft by any means from Team Cryptik.
No.
But it feels more like Armada we're picking for this game in particular. You mentioned the chaperones just shredding through those Torvald bubbles. As soon as the bubble goes, so does the bonus damage as well. So I like that selection, but there's so many question marks for me around Armada right now. It's hard for me to like lean that way.
Armada feels like they know Team Cryptik and are willing to take the task. They go and flex on the Vivian. And will she be able to suck the blood out of Team Cryptik this time around? Whether she's wearing the Contessa skin or not, we'll find out. Let's send it to your casters here to get game one started. It's Vox and Gormizer.
Thank you, Evan, so much. And now we're getting started for what could be a much more interesting game than I thought we were going to be getting into ordinarily, because, I mean, admittedly, Armada has a lot of practice dealing with Torvald, and they're the first ones to pull out the Vivian.
They are. But it's still Torvald. And that's kind of where I'm going with this, folks. It's still Torvald, despite having a Saparounds on. See, Vivian can deal with shields, right? And that's one of the values of it. If you pick Saparounds, she gets that innate kind of Wrecker. You can build Wrecker on top of that and have Mega Wrecker, which is great, but she still deals damage, not over time, but like over time. It's not big upfront burst damage. And it's not like a Cassie shot for 2100 and the bubble's just gone. It's like she's got to trace somebody with that bubble on for a few seconds, and that's a problem. And it is indeed the Saparounds Vivian that we see. Surprise, surprise. Armada looking to take a bit of a low ground approach here. They don't want to try and contest the Cathedral because they know that Drogo's there, and Drogo's Torvald in combo is not the thing you really want to fight into.
Not at all. Drogo's dealing a ton of damage, a lot of control coming out immediately, but Cryptik are having a rough time trying to get control of where they want, which is the objective. 51% already picked up here for Armada,
Almost
but First Blood does swing over to the European team.
80 health. Oh, it's weird hearing you say European team because I'm so used to seeing these teams in stuff like Community Cups just facing up against each other. But yeah, Armada, they're playing, as we mentioned, without two of their main roster. Oh my goodness, Uber Spady's just doing some mad fire spit business right here, right now. And I'm wondering if there's going to be any way for Armada to make their way back towards the objective. They've got their Ruckus there. They're sending down this big fire spit, but Armada are doing a good job at staying alive, and that's what Ying really brings to you early game. There's not much in the way of innate cauterize inside of Team Cryptik besides maybe follow the scent in Drogo's loadout.
And honestly, that's exactly what you need for confidence at the beginning. Again, Ragnarok, please do the 2 players that are new here for Armada, not something they played with through their online split. It's going to be difficult, but Fernando very comfortable overall, and as long as they stay alive, they're confident. Ragnarok gets rid of Uber Spady, and that is a great way to get back on. That's 81%, could potentially start rising again for Armada here.
Cool, that's what I was waiting for this entire time, because in all of this fight, Drogoz was just sitting in the Cathedral by themselves, but here comes a Hexafire. Look at that positioning. Coryell finds one, Ragnarok a second one. Isn't able to actually force Team Cryptik off the objective, though. Ovum dies in. Ragnarok with a beautiful flank.
Gorgeous positioning. Every
Absolutely.
single step that they took. And it comes down to Hexafire being able to set it up, like you said. Took a while. 2 minutes and 30 seconds is, I want to say, kind of average for closing out the point, but it was very slow progress getting there for the team.
Questionable use of Dread Soap. And the big thing that was questionable for me, though, with and took a while for me, was getting Ragnarok to reposition and put pressure on Uber Spady. Just, again, Drogoz is alone in the Cathedral, and nobody's going up there to contest him. Sure, they can receive a Torvald bubble, but you might as well send the Vivian and the Lian, or just the Lian up there to go and deal with them, and at least get them out of the high ground so you can get some pressure on the objective. Armada did adapt to that, so they have got that going for them, and they've got this first part of the push going relatively quickly. And now this is really interesting, Gore, because we talk about high ground control being so important. Normally it's controlled by a front line and at least 1 or 2 damage dealers right here, which Team Cryptik are doing with Torvald and Drogoz, but you've got a Ruckus to contend with from Armada, and that's, well, that's an issue.
Ruckus, causing a Ruckus. A lot of it has been good, although the Hexafire that came through, probably not the best positioning, still gets a kill out of it earlier. Already 50% charged back on that. The turrets or the Sentinels are up in the air, which is going to give a lot of bonus damage here for the Vivian. The boosh, the pop, 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 pop. Either way, the player style, everything that you want, is going to be solid. But the problem with Vivian, I want to see how you feel about it. How much pushing power does she have around this corner?
A lot, apparently, because once those Sentinels go up, here's the thing, right? Drogoz is really hard to match on that corner just because you have a huge amount of area damage that you can deal around corners with Fire Spit. Vivian can just shoot the ground next to you, and those Sentinels will still chip you down little by little, and that means that supports have to... oh, wow, that was a really nice pluck out of the air. But supports have to focus on trying to heal the high ground, Gore, at that point. And then you take your eye off the ball on the main objective, and, well, look what happens.
Well, here's your out of gate, the first kill that came through, and again, maybe not the solid start that Armada wanted, but they already
fade away, dude.
And they're at 51%, right? That's exactly like, that's the dream. Like, okay, you can get first blood. We have control of the objective. We've been sitting where we want. Do you see anything changing overall for the way Cryptik approached that fight? Because they had high ground and low ground control. They just never got the objective.
They didn't put anybody on the point, and that's really odd because you have an Inara and you expect them to do that, but you've got no aggro tank pressure, and that's one of the big things. Cryptik kind of had this double backline duo of Vivian and Lian that are relatively unpressured, realistically. I mean, look at this. Ragnarok has 0 deaths, Ineffable only has 1. Coryell themselves has 0 deaths on a Ruckus as well. The damage which the frontline is able to output here for Team Cryptik just doesn't really match up to what Armada is able to do, and there's a bit of a deficiency there, and that is a really big problem.
Uber Spade once again up to the top, where he's going to stand on the balcony looking down onto the rest of Armada. A lot of spread damage, a lot of area damage, but not going to be enough to find any kills just yet. But this is different than last time. They get not only the first kill of the round, but also a ton of pressure pushed away and forcing Armada back towards their base.
There's a big one. Ruckus going straight off the map. Coryell going into the drink right there as Kamika does find some efficacy with her ultimate for the first time. It really seems, well, a tool in any set besides a bit of Jaguar Falls action. And now Kamika could be under a lot of threat. Ineffable and the Vivian is waiting, looking for an opportunity to flank, but there are 3 members of Team Cryptik there, and kind of pulling the trigger could be a death sentence. Gore, nobody contested in time. Armada were too hesitant.
And throughout all of that, there was no need to use certain ults on the side of Cryptik. Right now, they're still picking up kills like it's nothing, getting aggressive. Ineffable looking to try and deal some damage, rip through shields. But Fortress Breaker takes a long time to tear down no matter what. And even though you come back, you get a good defense. There's 2 minutes left. Cryptik, they go back, spend those credits, and now they're coming in again with a lot of ults charged up.
They are, and it's the Cauterize that I'm looking for Team Cryptik to really get online. Sure, their Drogos, their Cassie will probably be able to get something else there, but Kamika and Toot Toot are the only people who are applying, you know, consistent Cauterize from weapon shot score. And Toot Toot now has that Cauterize 2 online, looking to go straight into a Cauterize 3 by the credit scaling up there. And if Kamika goes back to base, that will be a Cauterize 2, or might even be saving for a Chronos 2 here.
How do you feel about the fact that Ineffable on this Vivian has also gone into the Cauterize as opposed to going into like a Mega Wrecker, as you called it earlier?
I think it's kind of okay to do. I think that because you're also running a Death and Taxes Lian, and you already have that secondary source of Wrecker coming online, you're not relying on just the Vivian to kill those shields. So if Vivian with Saparounds just innately, as well as the Lian start shooting shields, bit of a tongue twister there for me, you should be okay. And here we go, Armada popping the Illusory Rift here, Gore, trying to just hold on as Team Cryptik are starting to gain some purchase.
I mean, getting aggressive as they can. Graphias, Super Payday, and Kamek are all going down in one fell swoop. Toot shortly falling after, and the only one alive right now is the Moldama. Not for long with those headshots as Ineffable just picks him up left, right, center, finds it. Not only that, has fully charged his Sentinels back. One of the only ults that you can actually do that while you have your Sentinels pop.
Has a carryover as well, and let's look at this Vivian loadout on screen right now as well, Gore, because we haven't really had the opportunity to see any Vivian until now so far this LAN, and wow, look at that. It is the one step ahead that's being really invested to at level 5, 30% increased movement speed, as well as a lot of emphasis on deflector shield. So you're keeping the deflector shield alive, you're healing for damage you're doing to shields. The deflector shield also shares some of its damage with you as well, so it just blocks shots for a little bit longer, and you're increasing its health by 800. This is a Vivian that is actually remarkably hard to kill, and pretty nimble when push comes to shove.
Being able to run around a lot, that's probably why we see an 8 streak here for Ineffable. Gonna run into the base as of right now.
Trying to go back
even
and
though
forth.
they got rid of Cryptik, Cryptik are right back at their doorstep, knocking on the door, and knocking hard. Ragnarok goes down. The rest of the team locked up on the high ground, essentially just outside the base. Overtime gonna be ticking, but they're at the hardest archway for the game.
Here's the thing though, Armada don't have much to hold on. They've got their Immortal charge up in just a second. Vivian has just used Sentinels coming out of base against that will be active. Ying Illusory Rift is charging up relatively quickly with that Fire Spit Gore. That's huge.
That was gorgeous shots coming through. Coriel locked down, and the shots are coming through. Please do, though. The only one on the side of Armada to go down, trying to pressure it out. 95%, 98% there for the Illusory Rift. They don't even need it. Everyone from Cryptik either dies or falls back to the point where they can't contest any longer.
Let's take a look at this INAP instant replay once again. Coriel for Armada just doing some serious work in the ruckus here. Going in, finding a double kill whilst the rest of Armada do end up cleaning up, and that'll help you out on any defense score.
Being able to set themselves up. At this point, we've seen a variety of starts, pretty much going the same way, but with different fights coming out from Cryptik. Do you want to see more high ground pressure? Because I feel like Drogus has been up there both times uncontested.
They have. Here's the thing. If you fight into that keep alongside of Drogus, it's a much bigger sort of area where you can throw in fire spits. Armada are just going to take more damage if they do that. If they stay in that low ground, they can really stop, I guess, a lot of the incoming damage from coming from Drogas. They can still lock them off, but they're a little bit less vulnerable here. But this time around, they are going for full high ground control. The ultimate's already out comes Scout. Illusory Rift to start things off, Gore.
Yeah, Please Do jumps in. Hexafire going to be coming out looking for a kill, but not able to find a lot of damage spread, but no individual slay coming through, although it's still going to get aggressive. Coriel getting into the face of anybody and
Dragon
everybody
Punch.
he can find, but that's going to be a Dread Serpent, a kill, and Cryptik standing ahead.
A Dragon Punch didn't actually find anybody. Please Do as well, having already used the Immortal, is trying to stay alive on the objective. Look how much health these illusions are pumping out, both of them focusing on Fernando right there. Ineffable finds 2, unstoppable on a 13 streak right now, and Ovum still yet to die, I think, on the objective at a 15 streak, capping it for 75% and rising 1-0 and 14, Gore.
7-1-7 for Ineffable as well, staying alive and keeping it that way. Control 99% picked up. Armada take the victory away. And just as a reminder, that's with 2 members that are not actually on the team. They are playing with 2 subs right now.
Which is pretty remarkable. You got to remember that one of those swaps is actually more of a permanent swap. From what I gather, you do have Madara, who just due to, from Twitter, college issues, wasn't able to come. But one of those players from the original roster was swapped out permanently, if I'm not mistaken. So we are looking at a bit more of a main roster composition here. We are looking at also a lot of players that, through a variety of different teams in the CIS region, whether they're full Russian teams, whether they're sort of hybrid European and CIS member teams in different community cups, have a long history of at least playing against each other, if not together, so they understand that synergy, and that's really important.
They finally get a win on a map that's not Bright Marsh on an international land. They
Wow.
take Cryptik on their map.
This is true.
Let's go ahead and throw it back to the desk and see what exactly they thought about game number 1.
So, we have a very interesting stat here. It seems, at least in my memory, that Cryptik or Armada, whenever they show up to land, win their first game. They win their first map.
First map always? and
Always,
forever?
they're the first map victors. And so far,
This was Cryptik's map pick, too. This is big for Armada.
I mean, that's what they did on like Renegades, Bright Marsh. I mean, they're Bright Marsh guys, so they win that first map, but then on Stonekeep, you're right. Nick, synergy is something that comes to mind for me as a conversation piece, but what did you notice most heading into, the analysis for Game 1.
Two things that I really liked is the adjustments of not just giving Uberspitty the high ground for free. We saw that yesterday, and the reason we saw that is because there wasn't any blasters. It was like both double hit scan composition, so the high ground wasn't as important. But when it's Drogos, you can't afford to do that, so they do make that adjustment. And I'm seeing a lot of just big money moves from Coriel on Ruckus, being a big commander of the front line, filling in, frankly, the shoes that Ovim left, because that used to be his job through and through.
And, you know, I'm not trying to give a ton of analysis here. I want to leave that to you. But the biggest thing that I see in regards to Armada is they're like brothers. They're brothers, and they bring their coach, and they all get along well with each other. They all have this kind of like comfort that you see they're sitting next to each other, that they just feel like they're at home. And I feel that there's a bit of tension on the side. I've always felt this way with Cryptik, and I don't know if it's Kamikaze squads. I don't know what it is about it, but it doesn't feel that way to me. And I look at that team Armada, and now I'm actually really not surprised that they're winning and winning that well.
Well, in a quick game like that, Evan, I don't think that's really the wrong way to look at it. I think a lot of times that can be a big part of it, and we're seeing our Steel Series MVP of Ineffable. I think they did a great job with their experienced guys kind of like taking the reins in that game, but oftentimes that can be more important, especially in the situation that Armada is in. If they feel good about these players, they feel good about these players. That's something that was handled already. They got to make them comfortable here and now in this day.
And to this point, would you not say that maybe taking a Vivian here over a Victor, which I think a lot of people will consider more meta, standard, more applicable, that shows comfort and trust in your teammates?
I think that's a big part of it. And we talked about in this draft, it feels like Armada, you know, they bring out something like that. They're drafting for this game. They're not just trying to be little sheeple going around and picking what everyone else is picking. This is not their first rodeo. They're looking good, and they're communicating as well. Communicating in victory is very important. Communicating in defeat is very important. Obviously, a lot riding on this man's shoulders here. Ovim leading this squad, but I think all three of the veterans now, you can say, they weren't always the veterans, Coriel and Ineffable, but they did a really good job in game number 1. And now that, again, that was Cryptik's map pick. This is it. This is the free set for Armada. They won their opponent's map pick. Just win your map pick and get out of here for the day.
And I think this is a nice little route they've got going on. I could see this team going into a lot of momentum. And Armada, you know, everyone's looking at SSG, looking at Zaga. Zaga a little bit disappointing. Armada maybe a little bit more exciting here now that people are looking at and saying, whoa, okay. Oh, this is the #1 team in Europe. Again, we did talk about that, though. The fact that Sour Team was actually better than this team, but because they had that rough start and they changed out their roster midway with Nino, second Hayes, midway through, they took the 2nd seed. So really, we're looking at the 2nd seed in Europe as far as capability from what we've seen when they both go head-to-head.
It's tough at this point. Basically, every team has a sub or two at this event.
Exactly. So that's even more of the case of where Synergy is going to pull you through. You look at March Madness, and if you're a basketball fan, you say there's always that team that's like ranked 36 that makes the run into the quarterfinals, and you're like, how do they do that?
Florida Gulf Coast University.
Are they better than everyone else? Are they going to get more draft prospects in the NBA draft the next year? No, but they're a band of brothers, and they show up, and they basically play with heart, and that's what I feel like Armada has represented every single time they come to LAN. Not many PGS teams can say every LAN they show up, they get a map win. In fact, I'm not sure any can.
And Armada certainly can now. Just one win away from this set victory. A team that I admit it, not with the most confidence going top 4 in this event. There's a lot up in the air at this event. I'm not sure after watching day one and a half at this point, that I am super confident of any of my picks going through at this point. It could be a really interesting fight down the stretch. We'll have to see how Fnatic play tomorrow. I think they may be the only sure thing that I've still got going all the way in a Strix ban right out of the gate.
Well, I mean, at that point, I mean, aren't you? We don't, you know, Fnatic sitting there and watching that. They're here, but they've had 2 days to sit back and watch. I mean, sometimes you get a little antsy.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't know how that's going to work out for them.
They are absolutely getting antsy. They're saying they wanted to play today. They wish they could have played today.
Part of the
have to sit and wait.
The rigors of competing, you know, sometimes waiting your turn. You know, sit and watch it. How do you prep?
It's lonely at the top.
What do? You stay out a little bit the night before? Do you eat the right things?
Very different bands here in game number 2. Normally 3 front lines and then 1 flavor, 1 Willow, 1 Drogos, 1 something that has been successful prior in the set. Not the case here. Torvald will stay banned. He works with just so much. Strix and Eevee not yet seen today, but both will take a seat.
I just saw a very funny comment saying the cameraman is is preferring watching Cryptik's coach over Armada's coach, and he's saying, how could that be? How is that possible? It's you know, hey, we got
good-looking coaches in this set.
Good-looking
That's
coaches
part of
all
it.
around, and you know what? It's the battle of the looks. And now we get one more for the Armada coach, even though Ovum takes up about 80% of the screen right there. And he's patiently picking, waiting, and discussing with his team what should they do. First pick for Armada.
Scope for scope here, Eevee banned
The battle
as well.
of the coach. All right, so who's getting
Who's
picked?
more
Who's getting
involved?
banned?
Well, Felixima's mic is up.
Oh,
You know what that says? Confidence. Armada, they've locked
I don't
it
need to
down.
say a damn thing.
They know what the hell's going on. They know how this draft is going to go down. Cryptik's coach, he looks like he's breaking a sweat a little bit, man.
He looks like somebody just asked him a question on Jeopardy and he doesn't know the answer.
I will fight to protect
But he hit the button.
sanctity
But
of
he
the
doesn't want to
wild.
look like he doesn't know the answer.
Benjamin. She's like,
Phone's
listen,
out.
She looks to me like, you know what? I can't believe you did that. Like, she's like, you guys better not lose. That to me is like the more of a, I'm watching over this just to make sure you guys don't do anything ridiculous.
That's what I'm saying. Signed, sealed, delivered. Armada know what they came to do here. So many front lines open. So many front lines picked here. Makoa first and Archon second. And second played already today, but Armada will be looking for the picks here. Still need their support. And Ovum looking like he was really solid on the Ying, to be quite honest. And with so many things still open, I wonder if we will see the supports go middle of the draft here, as we have so many times before. It feels like every game support is picked third.
Who wore it better? Ovum basically just took that hair flip in the front, put it back behind the headband. I think that's a nice look because he's accenting the glasses. He wants everyone to know that he's really paying attention. You know, you get the smart guy. You get the smart guy vibe when you wear glasses. I've always wanted
Whether they're Burberry framed.
whether they're Burberry framed or not. We can't all be, you know,
Crafter special.
Made by the paths they
can't be.
choose,
We all can't be
not
Corlins,
the
you know.
powers they were
Here we
graced
go.
with.
Finally some Victor coming through here. He has been open a lot today, but not picked quite so much. And funny how that type of stuff will change. I mean, the land meta obviously will adapt. This is a long, I think this is almost like 30 sets by the end of it all. I'll be very curious to see what the drafts look like by the end of the event versus when they looked like at the start.
Listen, my man, going back to the coach head-to-head, he's dressed like he's about to go to like a LA club, like Bungalow. He's going to Bungalow at night. He's got the nice watch on. I want to see the real people who are equipped for Sweat, the admin matchup, because they've got jerseys, okay? Our admins have jerseys. And I know Rude is working up a sweat in there, making sure everything goes apropos for this set to continue. I want to see what they're looking at. It's the Talus picked up here for Armada, though, to round it out.
Certainly. Having a lot of good shred potential here. Ability to close gaps, things of that nature. Hard dive, and playing around the Makoa, that was something that Seth Cloud and Mouse did really, really good earlier today, and there it is. The man who just keeps the competitive
Where's the other one?
integrity alive. If he wasn't there,
Is Mallory in the booth?
simply could not imagine the shenanigans that would ensue. I'm not sure if it would be Mallory. Maybe
Rude Mallory, I think Rude loses hard on that one, according to Mixer Chat. I don't know. I don't know.
Vote now in the mixer poll here. Rude or Mallory. I mean, who's your preferred admin?
I don't know.
We got
I
to get
mean,
this going. We got to get this matter settled.
we do. We've got a lot of head-to-heads here.
Yeah.
There's too many narratives to keep track of.
Coach v. coach, admin v. admin. Almost forgot about the team versus the team. Armada versus Cryptik in game number 2. Leon will go 10th here. Fairly solid drafts for both sides, but I
Yes.
like what Armada are doing. Feeling more like they're drafting for these games, feeling like more what they're comfortable with, and specific things that they want to attack and leverage, or specific win conditions they want to dismantle from their opponents. In game 1, it was the Vivian dismantling Bubbles. We'll see if it works out for them in game number 2.
I love the shred, too. They're picking within the wheelhouse, but they're picking good champions. Armada keeping it clean in game 1. Can they do it in game 2? Let's pass it on to our casters, Gormizer and Vox, and see what they have to say about these drafts.
A lot of options to take that Drogoz out of the air. A lot of damage that's good for Frog Isle. And a lot of nice music to go along with our transition into the island itself.
Yeah, but I prefer some heavy metal if we're talking about Shred Talus. That's the thing which stood out to me from the draft. It's just hearing that come up, I'm like, I want to see that skin right now. Give Talus a guitar, maybe a lute or something, or a lyre. Either way, interesting drafts coming through. A little bit different to what we predicted, but the initial kind of start of that Makoa into the Kananara is very, very standard here. Again, this feels like it's just a quintessential Khan draft for me. Sure, you got a lot of damage pressure coming through from Team Cryptik, but once that Khan gets overpower, Team Cryptik might just be able to win every fight because of it.
Well, starting it out, immediately going to the point. It's going to be both the Inara and the Fernando this time around. Coriel going to be piloting this one, but he's doing a lot of damage. Brand is going to be playing a big role into this, but Please Do, once again, is going to be first blood.
Oh, this is not looking too good. Grafis, Uber, Spady. Pick up a couple of kills there. Coriel surely to go down. I mean, that was just an all investment from Please Do and Armada trying to find a frag off the back of that Makoa's Dredge Anchor, forgetting that Grafis is just looking there going, off free headshots. Makoa's got a head the size of a building from above, and then grenades rain on down. Gore, it's 42% rising.
Yeah.
I don't think that Armada can make their way back in with how well this Victor can dismount on this map.
Well, this is the unfortunate part of Frog Isle, and the unfortunate part, I guess, if you're the team that's losing, typically once you get bopped off, you have a lot of trouble getting back. It's going to be 80% picked up here for Cryptik, as anybody from Armada is going to be able to touch back down. And my eyes are going to be on Ineffable or onto the Talus to try and open up this point and at least get some space for the team.
I mean, it was Ragnarok diving into the backline after Coriel sort of jumps towards the objective. Down goes the Waters field, and they go, you know, we can't actually stand here. This is too much damage. There's not much we can do. And I don't know, Gore, all of this, look at those damage charts coming through right now. This is Armada just not showing up to the party. That Fernando, who you expect to be an aggro tank, just isn't participating in any of the kills. Talus is sitting down in 6th place right now. 7th place, excuse me, now 6th place on the damage charts. That's not good enough to be able to take down a team like Cryptik. We need to see pressure go onto this backline. You got to start making Victor uncomfortable.
So while we have the opportunity, I actually want to ask Drogoz. It's kind of expected that he's going to have a rough matchup. There's Victor, there's Leon on the other side. He's not going to be able to spend a lot of time in the air.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Talus on Frog Isle?
I feel like Talus on Frog Isle is okay if you have somebody that can push out consistent damage as your other damage dealer, but they don't have that because this Drogoz is under so much pressure. Rather than somebody like a Talus that I want to see here, I'd either want to see a Zin who has a bit more of kind of an all-in, can billow out again approach, and can still do some long-range damage, with Yomi being the really big one, as we see a really nice sort of delay and a stagger coming through from Armada just to stop Team Cryptik from grouping up quite as quickly, Gore. But, I don't know, yeah, maybe the Zin over the Talus or something like that would have had a bit more effect with how Yomi can hit over long range. Maybe a more reliable, just long-distance damage dealer. I don't want to think a Tyra, but somebody more akin to a Victor. Maybe even the Vivian again would have helped them out a little bit more here, but it's that damage over distance which is really the big question.
And it's causing him a lot of trouble right there. Ragnarok tries to jump down, tries to fight, and gets killed before he can even actually get within range of anybody.
You know what? Rather than the Talus, I would have rather seen a Cassie or a Shaolin, and I think Shaolin is... That's pushing a little bit, because you're going to get poked out very consistently by Victor with frag grenades around the corner, but a Cassie just does so much in this situation.
Yeah. A lot of control that can go their way, but it's going to be Cryptik right now in control, being able to find the barrage coming through. No shots falling down just yet, but he's going to be able to plant them all onto Coriel, wipe him out. No pressure coming down from Armada. That's going to be a quick and successful 2-0 there for Cryptik, as they didn't find that much resistance that entire round.
Not at all. That wasn't just Cryptik in control. That was Cryptik holding control, Alt-Delete, and Armada. Their executable has been just terminated at this point. They just didn't have any objective pressure whatsoever. They didn't have really any offensive pressure on the back line. I'd love to take a look at KDAs once we come out of this with these player cams. Again, look at this. Just relative comfort here on the side of Team Cryptik rather than any concern. And I don't know if... Oh my goodness, look at that. Grafis, 0 deaths on the Victor, one of the most vulnerable champions to flanks in-game. Just unpressured the entire time. And look at this loadout as well, Gore. Grenadier 5 is pretty standard there, but Predator's a big one on a map like this as well for that 3-second reveal after hitting an enemy during iron sights.
I'm surprised you were able to see Grafia's score. I couldn't find it, because it was 4-4. I'm just going to go ahead and explain that one because it was a bad joke. Either way, getting into the round at the beginning.
Me to prepare puns, Gore, for this one, and you're beating me out right now.
The grenade coming through, but that's going to be the overpower, the true power coming through, trying to punch off Grafias, get rid of that 0 death streak that he has right now. And unfortunately, he just decides to turn tail, run, get away. That does give a lot of pressure over to Armada with a comeback mechanic, so that's going to open them up for 60% on the point and a lot of control.
That's just all Survivor. Yeah, the combat mechanic's really big here, Gore. This should be a capture for Armada. Victor's still not dying. That's the really big thing here, but nobody's going to make it back in time. It's 97%. You've got a Khan and Inara, and they don't exactly have a reputation for a lot of mobility. The really big thing that was surprising right there, which I guess must have maybe been taken up by a Dragon Punch, was where is the overpower? I'm getting a bit of a callback to that mouse game on Jaguar Falls, which we saw earlier. Just either not the right situation or not enough time to get it off, because if that had pulled maybe a damage dealer from Armada, maybe even the Talus once they tried to jump on in, could have been a free kill, could have been a completely different story.
I mean, still sitting around, still holding on to it, might be useful for defense, but honestly, it's something that we typically see at the beginning of the round. That's a great kill, Makoa, at the beginning of the round for a free card that you could ever have.
I mean, it's really what I'm looking at here. If you're going to use the overpower on defense, which they have just done, and it didn't get any kills, That's bad, by the way. You're going to use it now, right? Because you have just about enough time to charge it up for the next point capture with 1 minute and 40 seconds on the table, but I'm looking at this going, this was an overpower that didn't get any kill score. What is going on here?
It seems like a late call out. Either way, they're still going to be able to find at least a stall at first. Ancient Rage is available. You're about to have the true power. You almost have the Dragon Punch once again. And of course, Ying's ult, anytime it's down, you might as well just expect it to be back up almost instantly. It comes back incredibly fast.
Blink and you'll
but
miss
now,
it.
hey, Armada going to be able to spin, buy some new items, come back into this, maybe feeling fresh as they approach it. How do you want to see them crack down the shell that is Cryptik right now?
I think that they've got to just land a big hook to open things up. I mean, you could try and go all in with something like, oh, and speaking of all in, Oven just pops the Illusory Rift. Everybody's diving in. Here comes the Dragon Punch. Looks for it, finds Kamika. Inevitable goes down a response. Dredgenka does actually miss, but here comes True Power. Straight into somebody in the backline. There were 2 very low health damage dealers back there as well, and everybody from Team Cryptik, cool, they can't stand against this.
A good zone, everyone falling down either low or pushed back, no one being able to step down. This payload looking like it's about to walk right back in, but there the tail end Tutu finally comes out, tries to save it, but unfortunately goes down. You do have Kamika stepping back on the point, trying to hold on as much as he can, contesting it, but Ancient Rage is popped and down goes the tank.
You know, I like that Ancient Range utilization at the end right there, because if that hadn't been used, if the Makoa had gone down, that would have been that the Inara, probably Kamika, had bought enough time to stabilize for the rest of Team Cryptik. So you're just using one of those ultimates, you say, sure, it's an expenditure which we don't want to have to make, but by using this, we guarantee ourselves that we are tied up. We're not letting Team Cryptik potentially take a game here just by being a little bit ahead, and that puts an Armada back on the flat ground. The big thing for me is, again, once we get back into the game, I want to take a look at Ultimate Economy Gore, and I want to see who's on the lead here, and if we will see the chance for this round to go a little bit different, and if we'll have the chance for that overpower to be used at the start of the round. 91%, it's close enough, you know. That's maybe one battle shout and a clip into a front line, and that's up and ready.
I mean, you want to talk about ult economy. No. Armada are in the Great Depression right now.
Wait, Gore, hold that thought. Look, Satzik used the Dread Serpent right at the end of that round. Now, I thought that the animation went off or didn't go off, and that would have actually saved the ultimate charge. Not the case, though. Graphiesi looking here for a little bit of damage with the barrage. Coryell stepping out away from that, and now it's all about Armada trying to go back in.
Please do again, the first one to fall in the round, but they do reply with Toot Toot this time around. Kamika is getting incredibly low. If they can find the kill, that's going to be big for them. Ineffable staying alive, applying the pressure, getting the kills. Uber's Payday, the rest of the team forced to run away if they want to try and save their lives. Toot Toot now in an awkward position. How do you make this decision? You're overpowered, is gone. You have no way to break through.
And you've really got to just try and chip somebody down little by little, but Armada say, okay, well, we're going to just corral you into the base. Here's the Illusory Rift. That'll keep everybody topped off. That'll buy some time, and we can just hold these advantageous positions, these forward positions, with no trouble.
Ouch. I don't know if anyone saw that, but his health bar got completely eviscerated. Same thing for Kamika there.
Look at the reaction.
Coming in kill after kill after kill. And that is going to be point number 3 for the team from CIS. Feeling comfortable and in control once again. A little bit of a rough start, but how do you think they're doing now?
Well, Gore, this is all about Oven for me. They're in a great place because the Ying is just staying alive, keeping everybody else alive, and it's enabling so much to come on through. Oven does not channel True Power. That's actually just the carryover effect from Talus there, and Talus doesn't die throughout all that. Ineffable cleans up Toot Toot, Coryell cleans up Graphiesi. This is really, really bad for Team Cryptik. They're just stuck in their base. Gore, they've got to find a big kill here to open up a defense. Kamika does take down Coryell. That'll help, but Ovum's still pushing this payload all the while, and they're only just starting to retreat on Armada.
Ineffable has had a solid round as well, not going down. I believe I just saw 9 streaks set up for him on this Drogo, so comfortable, confident, 6, 3, and 7. And even though you lose Ovum, I'm honestly not sure that's going to be as bad again. Couple of credits here for the point capture.
Exactly.
You go back, you heal up, 69%, maybe finishing off your morale boost 3. You come back into this coasting and ready as Armada.
I think Ying's favorite button is E at this point, as that is a morale boost 3 as well as a cauterize 2 for Ying as well. So just that extra hit scan pressure, the illusory mirror from Ying having such a long range for it, even though it does have a pretty significant fall off, you can just kind of sweep it across the battlefield and make sure that nobody's getting good healing coming through. And that's so important when you're playing against a team that not only has a Maldamba, but has a spot healer from this Khan with their battle shout. And here we go. Here's Illusory Rift, Gore.
Getting aggressive, looking for the kill. Toot Toot, if he goes down, it's going to be a big first kill here for Armada. But they lose Please Do in the process, who does not have Ancient Rage. He's going to be able to respawn, should be able to get back in time, but the team is going to be lacking without him, and you can see that kill coming 2 onto Ineffable. Ragnarok not looking very confident or comfortable, and Uber's Payday going to be able to take him down.
But Uber's Payday actually doesn't land enough of the basic weapon shots, lands the Enlightenment, can't hit anything after that, just the sort of AD strafe back and forth from Talus really makes them quite hard to hit at times. Big Paul doesn't land the off-the-map kill. 2-2 does stay alive. Armada looking for opportunities with 30 seconds left, to re-engage. This could be the set-winning push for them if they can get it through. They've got the Ancient Rage and the Immortal. I bet that they're going to invest in them here, because if they can get this through and not have to deal with an extra point, they're just going straight on through in the upper bracket.
Inevitable's life is important here. 99% Dragon Punch about to come online. That's one get rid of a Nara free card if they can hit it in time. And they're going to be able to open it up. He's going to channel it. He's coming through, and that's going to be the punch, the kill. Kamikaze is gone. The pressure is on, and Armada are starting to walk this one forward. Toot doing whatever he can to contest, but it's going to be overtime, and it's going to be a stronghold right now. Armada are in the lead, but it's 2-2.
But look at that area damage just coming in from this Drogo's uncontested. Ovum takes out one. We should see the Inara respawn coming through right now. Toot about to go down. Beautiful heal. Battle shout to immune some of the damage. Somebody's got to shoot this Drogo's. Ineffable is just staying alive right here, completely unpressured. This is such a big problem, Gore. They're still holding on, but Team Cryptik, by the skin of their teeth, will fall.
Burning down Inara at the very end of it. Very opposite of what we saw out of the other EU PGS team where Inara could never die. Armada are going to be moving forward, not only winning their first game, winning their second game, and I'm not sure if it's the first time, but being able to move themselves forward in the bracket,
they've won a set,
which is definitely something that has not happened often for the team from CIS.
Everything is going against my plans right now, Gore. I did actually have Team Cryptik winning this set, but again, I'm really surprised but also thrilled how well Armada have done, being technically down 2 players from their PGS roster, even if one of those is a more permanent change from what we understand at this point. Really good play overall. Really good, what feels like character development as well from all these players to be able to expand and move beyond the Brightmarsh one-trick wonders, which they were previously, and now take a set off one of the top PGS European team.
Well, Ovum, after changing crews a couple of times at this point, now being able to climb now not only the top of CIS, but at least through the first round here at the qualifiers land. So let's go ahead and throw it back to the desk and see what they thought about set number 3 for today.
Well, these days are moving pretty quick, aren't they? I mean, this is a fast one, and that was a fast one as well. Armada show a little bit of hesitancy in the first round of Game 2, but they clean it up quickly with 4 points back to back to back to back, and they close it out over Cryptik, sending them to the losers bracket and putting Armada into a great position here to do what you said they might, which is advance in the top 4.
Perhaps. I mean, Armada do a lot of good things in that set. They show like the ability to come back from being down after losing the first point and getting stomped that first point. So they're showing a lot of resilience and a lot of ways that they can adapt and overcome and adjust the composition on the fly. After that first round, I think Talus and McCoy are like combined 0-8 or something like that. They got absolutely no pressure, but please do. Ragnarok, those are the 2 substitute players. I mean, it's so easy for 2 guys like that in this situation, given the context of having very little or no experience, to just shut down and say it didn't work. But they know what they have to do. They go right back to it, and they end up accomplishing their goals.
What I love is Ineffable, Coriel, and Ovum have done so well, and they get a damage carry when it was Vivian last game for Ineffable. They get a frontline flex for damage or sustain, and that's where Coriel's at with either Ruckus or Fernando, and Ovum on the consistency of the Ying with healing for his obviously his damage dealers and Please doing Ragnarok, but also for his supports. And I think that it's no doubt in a lot of players' minds that Ineffable gets your Steel Series MVP for this set, and what a tremendous performance from him, holding it down when they are not at full strength.
And I mean, how clutch was he down the stretch? Admittedly, he got into a nice little secret groove there. Nobody was really bugging him too much, but he poured out so much damage into that final team fight. And I also want to commend Armada on just the fact that they made the decision that they were going to hit the gas pedal. Like this right here. They said, we're going to win the game right here. That's not easy for a lot of teams to do. Oh, what if it doesn't go well? Then we don't have ultimates next round. You start getting in your own head. Armada they had their game plan, and they executed it.
And I think that's why we brought up, the way that the team boxes felt, right? You could tell there was tension on one side, and then there was this kind of relaxed, more of a friendly environment on the other side. And that was what Armada have brought to this set. It's this comfort to say, hey guys, we're all buddies. Life is good. We like things, how they're going, and let's push the gas pedal, see what happens. Oh, we won. Great. And it's not this heavy thing that Cryptik have always battled against. They've made to a couple lands, but they haven't had a ton of success. And so they have battled against this kind of like, we are in Europe, we are a good team, but we haven't really hit our stride yet. We haven't had that moment, you know what I mean, where Nocturnes and Space Station, they've had their moments. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all progresses. Absolutely love the performance from Armada. Ovum gets another win. This time it's 2 in the bag, and they win the set. Fantastic stuff from them, our CIS representatives. In the PWC qualifier land, we do have one more set to go today. And the set previewing that, as we are not really ready to throw to the interviews yet, is taking a look at what will be Sanguine and Ryder, now the first team to really drop out of this tournament for real.
Someone's going home.
Someone's
and
going
I don't know
home.
who it's going to be, man. I mean, Sanguine have had certainly their expectations upon them. I don't think Ryder have too much expectations, but they're almost at that point, kind of like how we talked about with Armada, where
There's some young
you've
guys.
been to a couple, so it's like it's time to, I think, hit the gas pedal, maybe get a win here, or again, go home with that one.
Yeah, I think Sanguine's going to take that one, but we'll have to wait and see. That matchup still on the back burner, and coming up after we take a listen to what the winners Armada have to say about moving on in the winners bracket here today.
Well, first up, congratulations, guys, on your win. How does it feel staying up in the top bracket right now?
It feels so good. It's like I think our first time to get in high bracket. We are not losing first match. It's good.
So I think a really big question on everybody's minds as well is coming into this, you guys took that set 2-0. Did you think it was going to be that easy versus Team Cryptik?
Ну, честно говоря, мы много играли с Cryptik до лана, и, в принципе, мы знали, что шансы у нас примерно равны друг у друга, но, не знаю, сыграли уверенней и лучше, поэтому победили.
So we were playing against Cryptik okay. We were playing against Cryptik before the LAN, like screaming them, and we basically knew that we have like even chances, but probably this LAN we were just playing more confident. That's why.
So I'd gotten to talk to you a little bit before the set, but how did it feel? I mean, you have 2 new players coming into this LAN. Were you still feeling just as confident about your standings and about the way you could play coming into today, or do you think this has solidified a little bit more confidence in yourselves?
Yeah, new blood. It's really good for us. Like we changed roles. I'm playing now sports, so we have 2 new players, and we can make much more than before. Like we have much more space, much more players to improve. So we were strong.
Oh, that's really awesome, guys. My last question for you from me is just about that Vivian pick in the Torvald in game number 1. We've had this big kind of reputation come out of that Torvald is the big bad grandpa at the end of this draft, and everybody either bans him or picks him. The Vivian pick seemed really logical to counter that. Why do you think no other teams have brought that out yet in the face of this Torvald?
Они не такие умные, как мы. Все. Скажи, что это наша секретная страта.
That's our secret strategy.
I think that's all we need to hear from you guys, and there'll be plenty more secret strategies coming up. Thank you and congratulations once again to Armada as they advance through the upper bracket.